Oh, I mean, I think I
I hope the world heard.
actually did. I think I was. I think I was trying to click and I missed it. No.
Later.
So Thano was singing a theme song to the roast of Tom Brady.
Is that what they? Oh yeah.
I don't think it is.
Uh,
Uh, so we're here. Thano's running the show for this one.
yes. So
So
ask me, Javi, why did I want to do this episode?
why did you want to do this episode?
Yeah, outside our wheelhouse, right?
Outside of work.
Not a movie, not a shit, not
Not
a
a
movie.
movie, but it's a show of sorts.
It's a show, but it's not narrative.
It's not narrative, but it's a very Thano and Javier thing, I feel.
No. So why I wanted to do this is
Remind the audience what it is.
this is the roast of Tom Brady.
The roast of Tom
It's
Brady.
premiered on Netflix a couple Sundays ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, three hours long,
3 hours long,
and
which holy shit.
has been released to rave reviews, and I will say like a good time for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say when Katie asked me a couple of weeks ago or last week,
Mhm.
the roast came out on Sunday. Monday, she's like, "Oh, I want to watch the roast of Tom Brady." I was like, "Oh, I want to watch wrestling, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna go watch wrestling," and that's what I did.
Yeah.
So like, I wasn't like jumping at the bit to watch this.
Right.
I like roast, but I have no real attachment to Tom Brady whatsoever.
To like be like invested in this roast.
And that was my main concern. My
Yeah.
main concern was if I watch this, am I going to get the sick disses that are happening here?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be all white noise to me? And I will say it's a solid 80-20.
Yeah. Good amount of disses that I think the global populace.
I was able to get enough context to learn that Aaron Hernandez hung himself.
Yeah. That's a great documentary. But yeah, he did. I want to talk about those jokes, by the way. But
I will talk about a lot of these
yeah,
jokes.
and fit into a greater conversation. So, I haven't seen too many roasts. How many roasts have you
I
seen?
have seen a healthy amount of roasts. So I saw the Pamela Anderson one, the
Okay.
Bob Saget, Donald Trump,
When was the Trump one?
2014,
Okay.
13.
Okay.
Um, what else? What other roasts have
So,
they?
so recent enough where it was clear he was an asshole, but like early enough where he was still willing to play ball with people who weren't like in his cult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. So like the Comedy Central roast has been around for a long time.
So the first one I remember, and I haven't seen too many, but the first one I remember was the Flava Flav roast, which came out the
Holy
summer
shit.
the summer before my freshman year of high school.
That was 2007.
And I remember it because it was in marching band. It was one of the first days. I'm standing with the fellow clarinets. And I'm like, Flava, Flav, Flava, Flav. A young man whose name I did not know yet, but would soon be named Tim Scott.
Oh
Was like,
shit.
oh, there's that roast tomorrow night, isn't there? And then I was like, yeah. And I remember seeing the roast commercials on Comedy Central. I really, this is maybe the only like full roast I've seen. Are they usually
Oh.
this long?
No, 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 no.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No, the roasts are usually like an hour and a half,
Yeah,
maybe two if you're pushing it.
yeah.
But I mean, that was maybe 2 hours with like commercial
This
breaks.
is no commercials.
This shit is 3 hours
Yeah,
long straight.
yeah.
It is, they are fucking long, dude.
It
So,
it doesn't drag, but here's what I'll say: as someone unfamiliar with the genre, by and large, I watched this roast, and I won't say I was scandalized, but I was like, you can get away with saying a lot of shit in 2024. So I'm more so fascinated with the genre of the roast and what it allows us to do in this day and age, because it's quite a bit.
I'm looking at the list of these roasts.
Yeah.
I have seen,
Give us some names.
I have seen a lot.
Yeah.
So it started in 2003 with Dennis Leary.
Right.
Jeff Foxworthy 2 years later.
Yeah.
Same year, Pamela Anderson. I've seen that one. William Shatner, Flavor Flav, Bob Saget, Larry the Cable Guy, Joan Rivers, David Hasselhoff. Donald Trump is 2011. Charlie Sheen, 2011.
Yeah.
Roseanne Barr, that one I did not see. James Franco, I did see. Justin Bieber, 2015.
Yeah.
Rob Lowe, Bruce Willis, and Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Last one, Alex Baldwin, 2019.
pre-manslaughter.
Pre-manslaughter allegations.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think that's a good segue into our opening, which sort of set the scene. Who, what, when, where, why. And I wanted to get your opinion because you are infamously not a football watcher,
I am not.
but you also don't live under the sand, right? So
Sure.
Avi is not a fan of the NFL. Who is Tom Brady?
All I know is Tom Brady is a very popular football player. I'm assuming quarterback.
Quarterback. Oh,
Quarterback?
wow, you don't know a lot. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
For the Patriots.
For the Patriots, followed by the
He
Tampa Bay
went to
Buccaneers.
Tampa
Yep.
because Clark would always say, "Time for the Tompa game."
The Tampa
The
Bay.
Tompa game. I was like, "All right, fair."
Yeah.
I know that usually people did not like the Patriots because of Tom Brady. Like
Yeah.
people who chat on the Patriots, their first thing I would hear was "fuck Tom Brady."
Yeah.
So like that was my big thing, and I know the Deflategate.
Right.
That's about it.
Right.
Oh, and he retired, and then he unretired, and his wife left him for it.
So yeah, there have been worse. In my opinion, there have been worse perpetrators of like the unretiring thing. But aside,
Side.
Tom Brady, I think um, to get the cultural significance that he was to the NFL when he played, his nickname was the Golden Boy,
Hmm.
and that's because he's this like Prince Charming looking fella who was really, really fucking good at football. Not expected to be drafted very low in the draft, right? Um,
They did say right that he was drafted like 100 and
Sixth round, yeah,
something.
199.
Holy shit!
Exactly, right? So usually like the best players get drafted,
Oh, shit.
top 10, right? But no, there was he played for the University of Michigan, which is still a big football school,
Sure.
but he was not expected to be um as great as he was. He started because Drew Bledsoe was one of the roasters on here, was at that time the quarterback for the New England Patriots. He suffered an injury that almost actually killed him. Uh,
Is that where the joke with the two Jets comes in?
yeah, yeah. Um, Tom Brady subbed in because he was the second string, and he played so well that the Patriots were like, Drew.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Are you serious,
yeah.
dude?
And
The fact that he didn't just shoot him in that stage.
well, that was the year that they won their first Super Bowl, and they were not favored. They were not favored to beat the St. Louis Rams. The St. Louis Rams, their previous seasons, they had a nickname as a team called the Greatest Show on Turf, right? So they were kind of like what the Patriots later became. But the Patriots just, kept on winning, right? So
Damn.
this was the team. This was the team that was pretty much like guaranteed to at least be in the playoffs. It was typically a safe pick to put them in the Super Bowl. Some crazy amount of statistics. There was one point where like Tom Brady was like had played in like 20% of like all the Super Bowls that
Damn.
like existed. Something crazy like that. So his handsomeness and like the perpetual winning, and a couple cheating scandals, made him like very, very unlikable.
I mean, yeah, I get that. I completely understand that.
Yeah.
I feel like the idea of like shitting on the top guy
Yes,
is universal.
it is.
The allegations of the cheating scandals, even that, I'm like, yeah, what else is new? There's always cheating
Correct.
scandals, right?
Correct.
So like I feel like all these things, I'm like, yeah, this all makes perfect sense.
It does make sense. And I think the thing that's fascinating about his personality is he like I used to hate Tom Brady and the Patriots. I eventually like grew to like them. But the way that he just like gained people's respect was just by like winning.
Yeah.
Like, you don't like me? Well, we're gonna go almost undefeated this season. Right?
To a certain
Yeah,
degree,
like
like
respect. Yes.
yeah,
Respect.
like I have no ill will against him.
Right?
Again, I don't know him from uncle. If
Yeah.
you had showed me a picture of all these people without being in a certain order, and you said which one of them is Tom Brady,
Oh.
I probably would have guessed wrong.
Yeah.
That to a degree though.
I was like, it's the handsome one.
But even then,
Yeah, there was Julian Edelman was also
there are a
crazy.
lot of pretty handsome people
Right.
who were there. Even Gronk, I would say Gronk is more handsome than Tom. Tom
Disagree.
looks fake.
He does look a little fake, and I think that's also part of
Everybody
the
else, that's
yeah.
part of the fame.
That's part of the fame. The
That's part of the
golden boy
fame.
image. You can't. You again. He tried to beat Father Time. To a certain extent, he succeeded. He played into the league into his 40s, right?
You know, this is gonna be like a really like almost out of left field like reference. When I think of someone saying that like he's the golden boy and
Yeah.
it's supposed to be like a negative stereotype. So like for example, like Homelander.
Yeah.
If somebody said this is what Homelander looks like and they showed me a picture of Tom Brady,
Yeah.
I'd be like, this makes sense because I think Anthony Starr is too handsome to be like
Real.
real.
And that's kind of what Tom Brady is. There's rumors, and I think some of the jokes even pointed this out that like he's had hair plugs for a while, right?
I don't doubt that for a second.
His face does kind of look like it's been held up by
Oh, by tape
yeah,
and Botox. He's
exactly.
too smooth. He's for being as old as he is, for playing for as long as he has.
Right.
The fact that he looks like a Ken doll
He
is
does.
a little off-putting.
He was on this like weird stringent diet,
His
like
TB12 or
yeah,
whatever.
no sugar, no strawberries, right?
Strawberries.
He is he is too good to be true, and but it's too good to be true that didn't fail. And
Yeah.
for that, you have to be like,
Yeah, for sure. Mad
yeah,
respect.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I have no, like I said, no issue with the guy at all. I can't fault that. I completely understand why he got picked to be a roast candidate
yes.
because you need that level of fame to properly bring someone down without it being depressing.
And then to do it on Netflix, which is like, I mean, this was, I mean, I knew a few people who were, this was broadcast live, correct?
Live.
I knew a few people who were watching this live, right? And like Netflix has, because it's been hard for it to muster like its own IP other than some really good adaptations recently. Like I feel like of all the streaming services, it hasn't been the one that's like these big eyes.
Hmm.
But like for them to be able to gather such an audience with a roast, I think you needed Tom
Yeah.
Brady.
I will push back on that a little bit. I think Netflix has proven, especially over the last like maybe 2 years, that it deserves to be the king of streaming. Because if you look at how everybody else is doing, everybody else is floundering.
Yeah,
And Netflix, the fact that they are leaning into this live streaming thing, they did they did the live broadcast of uh
wrestling.
no. Chris Rock had a
Oh,
live special. That
I
was a
watched.
big deal.
Yeah,
This is a big deal. The fact that they are doing the big roast, and the fact that they bought the rights to WWE Raw to stream live every week
Mulaney's new
for
thing is live.
is
I
live,
didn't realize
right?
that. Yeah,
So I think this is further proof that Netflix is solidifying its rightful place as the king of streaming.
I want them to be the king.
I do,
I want them to be the king.
and one of the things too, comedy is one of the areas where Netflix has always
Yes,
shined.
the if it weren't for Netflix, I'm very curious as to how popular stand up would be among millennials.
Exactly. I mean, one of the big ones, Tom Segura's.
It's here.
He was here, and I have a lot of controversial thoughts on that. Um, the fact that like his big stand-ups,
Yeah.
I learned I like knew him from Netflix. Um, fucking Aziz Ansari has some stand-ups with them. Um, Hassan Minaj had some big successful
Did
like
Louis
stand-ups.
Mulaney did?
Mulaney.
Yeah. I don't know that.
Um,
I don't think. I don't remember if
I
Louis
think
did.
Louis maybe had one pre-scandal.
Yeah. I
Um,
think his show was on Netflix for a bit.
his show was on Netflix for a
Yeah.
lot of it.
Yeah.
So like Netflix has always been in it with the comedy.
Yep.
So enough to the point where they have festivals,
Netflix is a
Netflix
joke.
Joke
Yep.
Festival, right? That is a big tour that brings in huge people, like big name comedy like icons, right?
It's a big name because of Netflix.
Because of
Yeah.
Netflix. So I think the fact that they brought the roast to Netflix, I'm like, this makes perfect sense.
It does make perfect sense.
So what is the roast, Tano? So tell us what the roast is.
So now it's my turn to be the non-expert talking. They put the roastee on the dais.
Hmm.
For some reason, Jeff Ross is always
Yep. Man, he's the roast master general.
which I was kind of surprised how much Kevin Hart had to do in comparison to Jeff Ross here. There's a lot that surprised me about Kevin Hart for this one, by the way. Um, does he always have so little to do? Not that he had like nothing to do, Jeff Ross, but it was definitely like Kevin Hart was the MC,
Well,
and then
so
yeah,
you have your host, right?
yeah,
You have your roast master,
okay,
who is usually the like your host.
yeah.
So, for example, for the Bob Saget roast, you had uh, John Stamos
Oh wow,
be
yes,
his
yes, yes.
roast master, right?
I remember.
It's usually someone significant to the person,
Yeah,
unless no one is willing to do it.
yeah.
So for the James Franco roast, it was Seth Rogen, right? But then for like the Donald Trump one, it was Seth MacFarlane.
Hmm.
So like,
Yeah,
the relationship can be a bit hit or
you
there.
need friends to be able to.
You need friends. Um, Clearly, nobody really stepped up for Tom Brady, which makes sense because he's not a comedian.
But his compatriots, see the pun there.
Yes,
We're very much into it.
yes, for sure.
Yeah,
Um, Jeff Ross, really, what his shtick is, he is just really, really good at being really, really mean,
yeah,
and he's made a career of it. Like he has a tour where he brings people to like to do like live roasts, and you just go and you're in the audience, and these people just like shit talk each other and the audience, and that's the whole bit.
yeah.
So like that's why he's so well known. I think before Jeff Ross really shot up into like this level, Greg Giraldo was like seen as the biggest roaster.
I don't know who that is.
Uh,
Excellent.
Dude, he had some great shit.
Yeah.
But he died a
Oh,
while ago. So then,
like Jeff Ross is gonna do sometime
like
soon.
Jeff Ross is gonna do. Which speaking of which, it's funny looking at the picture they have on IMDb of Jeff Ross.
Oh, I
I'm like,
remember. I was like, I remember he had hair,
yeah,
and I don't remember what it looks like. So now that I see this, I'm very happy that I have the actual image of that. But so Jeff Ross is involved.
Jeff
There's a
Ross is involved.
host.
They
There's
usually involve because they know that like a lot of these people are not professional comedians.
yeah,
You need to cat this shit with people who are actually good at being funny.
yeah,
And it's always a juggling act of, all right, you want comedians and you want people who are personally,
Cheers. Right.
you know, attached to this person in one
Yeah,
way or the other.
yeah.
So, um,
And they shit on the
and they
person.
shit on this person,
And the
right?
person gets a chance to shit back.
At the end,
Yes.
they get the revenge.
And people shit on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So it's a very mean event.
1,000%.
Are they always this mean? Yeah.
Yes. I think all things considered,
Mhm.
I've seen meaner.
Yeah.
But that's because some people just have worse things to
To
dig at.
right.
And one of the things that I do not like about the roast is that there are some things that are off limits, and we will talk about that.
Mm,
One very clear one
that was in this
that
one.
was in this one,
Right.
um, which then limits what you're allowed to kind of shit on, and it does tend to get repetitive,
Yes.
which
I
is
was
the
also wondering that.
problem.
Are they always this repetitive?
Which is the problem with having a roast be 3 hours long,
Yeah.
because then you hear, "Hey, Gronk is stupid,"
Gronk is stupid.
500 fucking
Brady's
times.
divorced. Aaron,
Giselle is
yeah,
binging the trainer or whatever,
exactly.
right?
Aaron Hernandez
So
killed himself. Yeah.
exactly. So I feel like there's a fine line with this where I still love me a good roast,
Yeah.
but maybe now that we know that it can be successful, we know what works and what doesn't. Maybe we can fine tune it
I'm kind of impressed with this one that I was able to hear a lot of variations on the same joke for 3 hours
and
and
still
still,
hits.
yeah,
Yeah.
it never dragged. For me,
Okay.
I never felt like it dragged. Um, but yes, I was wondering if they're always that repetitive. Um,
Yeah. And so I'm looking at the notes here
yeah.
that you put down. So like at this point, like when is this occurring? You mean like in Tom Brady's career?
So there's a couple. I think there's a couple. Timeline points that we can do to give context. So Tom Brady is officially retired, right?
Sure.
Yeah, no, he is.
Sure.
He is fully retired. Um, Interestingly enough, he won the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. When he won, he was hugging his wife, Giselle, who was the primary breadwinner in that family, by the way.
Huh?
Who was the primary breadwinner in that family?
Giselle?
Yeah,
Why?
Giselle made more money than Tom Brady.
What?
Giselle made a lot of money
What?
being a model.
What?
I know,
I
I know.
am. I am shook.
Yeah, who says feminism is dead?
What?
Anyway,
Hey, man.
um, because he so one of the things with the Patriots was Bill Belichick was the coach, so there was a question for a period of time. Was it Belichick or was it Brady? And now it's been solidified that it was mostly
Brady.
Brady. Um, but the one of the things she said to him, she's like, "Okay, what more do you have to prove?" And she's like, "I'm excited for Tom to like dedicate time to family." Blah blah blah. So then anyway, he went back on a promise. I mean, there's other stuff that like I don't get into because I don't know the full details of the gossip, but he did promise her he would retire. He didn't. He went back for one more year. It was a mid ass year. And
Yeah.
then she divorced him. Right.
Damn.
Um so it's happening at that point where like his playing career is over. He just recently got out of his marriage from a high profile supermodel, right? It's 2024. I think we're at this point where like, I'm gonna sound like a Republican. I promise I'm not making the Republican take. But I think we reached an apex of like political correctness, and I think the world has come down from it a little bit. In
Okay.
other words, if this had happened like 4 years ago, like I don't know to what extent like you could hear the jokes that you heard on like Netflix, and by and large, people would be like okay with it.
So I don't
Yeah,
disagree. I mean, the fact that you said that this had happened 4 years ago, and the fact that there was a roast in 2019.
was it right? But yes, well, okay, 2020. Like if this had happened in George
Motherfucker, we
Floyd's
had
summer,
COVID.
right? I know, and that's why those like exercises aren't that helpful because there's a lot of like what ifs.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I think it's not so much less as this type of humor is not necessarily like flying so much anymore. It's less of like this isn't what the people are in mass watching.
mm,
It's still available.
yep,
You can find some really heinous fucking comedy that is very funny,
yeah,
but you have to look for it. Whereas the reason why this stands out so much is because Tom Brady is such a name.
such a name.
So it puts a spotlight. Yes, you have Netflix bringing this to the masses. Yes, you have some big names
Mm,
in comedy, but it's the fact that it's Tom Brady that is shining such a big spotlight on it. Like the fact that my coworkers heard about this,
yeah,
they didn't watch it, but they heard about it. To me, is like this is more of a Tom Brady elevating like this thing than it is like the comedy's back, baby.
and I don't think that the comedy is back, maybe per se. Nor do I necessarily want the comedy to be back. Even though I love this roast, there were many points where I was like, I don't know how comfortable I am with this. But I feel the medium of the roast allows you to be a certain level of heinous that otherwise, even in like normal comedy, like a lot of people would say, like,
Whoa,
no,
slow down.
yeah, exactly.
And but that's the thing, right? That's the genre,
Hmm.
right? This is no longer you're doing stand up. This is you are doing everything in your power to make sure that your joke is the one that's going to one up everybody else's. And
Mean.
some people
Yeah,
are great at it,
yeah,
and some people are absolutely not.
yeah.
And and that's kind of the thing about the roast, right? When a really, really mean joke lands, it sticks with you
Yeah.
for you could say almost forever, dude. Like there are some jokes that I remember from
There's a
roasts.
joke in my head right now that's not even that mean, but like it's stuck with me from that roast from Nikki Glazer.
Is it the NFT one?
No, it's directed at Bert actually. So shall we pivot? Well,
let's
let's
pivot.
finish your sentence, and
Oh,
then let's pivot into
yeah.
the
So, but my
jokes.
other point is just
Yeah,
like how there's jokes of when they land, and even if they are mean
yeah,
and they stick with you, there are also some jokes that will bomb,
yeah,
and you're like, this ain't me, chief,
yeah.
and that also, like it's like I said, it's a balancing act.
I think if there's one takeaway that I'm getting from this conversation, I think that there is still an art to being crass.
Yes,
Yeah,
and that is actually a pretty good lead
yeah,
into the jokes,
right. So,
right?
so I had two options of how we do this. We could do the types of jokes, or we could look at the individual jokies. We don't have to look at everybody on the list, but I tried to list
Yeah.
pretty much
So
everybody.
so I think it's
Yeah,
smart, it's smart to kind of go through and see who is here,
yes.
because this is, oh boy,
This is fact.
it is a stacked crowd. So we start with Kevin Hart, followed by Jeff Ross, which
Yep,
is tradition.
right.
Jeff Ross always goes second, like after the host. Bledsoe,
Yeah.
Glazer, um, Randy
Randy
Moss.
Moss, wide receiver.
Uh, yes.
Yes.
Kim Kardashian shows up
Yeah, for a little bit.
for a little bit. I'm assuming they dated.
It's never been confirmed, and in fact, I don't even know to what extent it was highly speculated. But I would just say like they're both of that like echelon of individual where you're like they've got to try it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tom Segura went with
with his
Bert,
boyfriend Bert.
with his boyfriend. Sam J,
Hilarious.
hilarious.
Yeah,
Rob Burgundy, I did not like that. That was Will
it
Ferrell.
was fine.
Yes,
It was fine. I think it brought back a certain nostalgia for things I was never that interested in.
sure.
But I was like, this was the early 2000s.
Belichick was right
Belichick, I
after.
was so happy with the Belichick contributions. Yep.
Edelman,
Wide receiver, New England
I,
Patriots.
I
Yep.
don't know what that is. White,
Dana White.
Dana White. Oh, he's
Yeah.
the guy from
UFC.
UFC.
Yep. With segued by the other guy in like who I've never heard of his podcast. He has a very punchable face.
Cliff.
Yeah. I
Really?
guess this is like one of the number one podcasts in the world.
Oh, that's fucking funny. 'Cause
Yeah.
I found him hilarious.
Oh, you did.
I have one joke that stuck to me
Right.
so fucking much. Gronk is after him. Schultz, Kraft, Affleck. I was like,
Ben Affleck raised a lot of eyebrows. But he and Marky Mark and Matt Damon
they were in that
are
commercial
tight with the
too,
Patriots.
right?
Yeah.
Manning and Brady. So
Yes.
I believe there's like 19 people.
And for your football acumen, if Tom Brady's Coke, Peyton Manning's Pepsi.
Yes,
Like that.
that one
Yeah.
I do know.
Yeah. So let's talk people.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. We don't need to go. Um, we don't need to go over every
No.
every comedian. Are there any that you're like, I don't really want to like spend too much time on because maybe they were just generic or they were like maybe aggressively mediocre, not enough to be like this is bad. Let's shit on it.
I think we can lump most of the football ones together. I will say, and I think they did a good job actually.
Hmm.
Um, I will say I was particularly happy that Drew Bledsoe got to lead from where he was just because of what like Tom Brady did to his career. It was nice to have him be like the first roaster besides Kevin Hart
I think
and
that
Jeff
checks out.
Ross. Yes.
Yeah,
And I thought he was funny.
I thought he was good
Yeah.
too. Um,
The double take. He was like, "Yeah, my wine brand's called Double Take, which is what Tom Brady does every time he walks like past the mirror." I was like,
oh
"Oh!" I thought that was a good dig at like Brady's like handsome boy persona.
yeah,
Um, so yes, I was glad he got to lead. Gronk, I think Gronk definitely got when they were saying that Gronk was unscripted for part of it. I definitely believe that like a decent chunk of that was unscripted. I thought he was touched with Gronk.
yeah, and I think that checks out for him.
Yeah.
Um, I of all of the players and just like non-comedians,
Mhm.
his was the one that I was like, I 100% believe
This is legit.
this is legit
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
He wrote these jokes. He went, off script if he needed to,
Yeah.
and I thought that worked very well. Um, there were some that like of the comedians that I was like, Edelman,
Julian Edelman is a football player.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, I don't necessarily like. Think he's great. He had a really funny hung tight end joke.
The tongue tight end joke was funny.
I laughed a lot at
I
that.
I liked the I liked Kevin Hart's commentary. You know, actually, biggest surprise for me of the night. I am not necessarily a Kevin Hart fan,
Oh,
and
interesting.
I don't think Kevin Hart was. I don't think he was particularly acting out of his normal character.
No, this is Kevin Hart.
I thought Kevin Hart did great. I thought,
Kevin Hart. I feel like Kevin Hart suffers from a similar Tom Brady situation where he is a genuinely funny guy
yeah,
who shot up into the stratosphere with comedy and wrongfully gave people like
they
open season on shitting on
they
Kevin
hate us
Hart.
because they ain't us. Is that yeah?
Yeah, and I mean he's serviceable in like pretty much everything he's in. Like he does have his shtick of like I'm the short, loud black friend.
My trainer at the gym said that Kevin Hart kind of just does have like one, like it's got like one joke.
He
Yeah,
does. I'm not saying he doesn't, but when it comes to like comedy,
Miz Tate.
but when it comes to like comedy, like he is genuinely a funny comedian.
yeah,
Um, I don't know. I thought like Belichick, he's the coach.
he's the coach.
You know, I thought his jokes were very good,
Hmm.
but I think overall, as far as like a roast goes, they were kind of softballish.
Yeah, I don't think he has. So there's been rumors that like there was bad blood between the two, and I don't know how much bad blood there actually is. Given those rumors, I don't think Belichick has enough slack to really go hardball because like after Brady left, he won the championship. Belichick got fired, right? There's not like he doesn't have a lot of room to talk shit. I think he did a good job of staying within his lanes of what he could say and you could buy. Like, yes, that's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean
Um,
for sure, like but the whole point of this is like you are punching up.
you are punching up, but I think that there's how shall I say? I think when punching up, you can punch up, but like you can't break our suspension of disbelief too much.
Mhm.
Where you're like, all right, buddy, like settle, like settle down.
By the way, one of the things that I find really funny in Gronk, and I know this is like a very low effort thing, where he's like saying hi to everybody like in goofy voices. He goes, "Coach Belichick,
Yeah.
nice to see you, sir." I don't know why. It just
Well,
it
because it fits both their personas,
yeah.
right? He was like this drill sergeant, like no nonsense, like asshole. Um,
There was a
yeah.
topical Jeff Ross Hamas joke from Edelman that I
Yeah.
thought I thought that was kind of funny.
So the Jew jokes were like interesting, and that was like I think there was a good handful of like Jew jokes and black jokes where I was like, oh, like this is
Yeah.
kind of maybe some of this going to stand up, but like this is roast only material.
Yes, 1,000%. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, some of these jokes you are only flying
yeah.
because they are in a roast. Like any context not in a roast, these are
Right.
not gonna hit. Um, but I don't know. As far as like the non-comedians, I
Mhm.
think those were the ones that kind of stuck out to me. Eli Manning,
Peyton
Peyton
Manning.
Manning,
Yeah.
sorry, because there were jokes about Eli
Eli,
Manning should
right.
have should have showed up.
Eli had a great line on Twitter where he's
Something
like
about like I've
Simon.
roasted him before, something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
I did see that. But as bad as it is to say, I still think the comedians are the ones that like
Yeah, for
shine.
sure. They carried I think the football players did very well, and then the
Yeah.
comedians, for the most part, I did think I did a lot of the heavy lifting.
So I don't want to end on like a negative note when it comes to like a roast. So I will say from the beginning, my least favorite comedians kind of hurts to say that it was Tom Segura.
It doesn't hurt to say much for me anymore. It-
Yes, I think I know where you're going
yeah,
from, right? That he's kind of taken a turn.
yeah,
There I agree 100%. But man, I still like listen to his stand up every once in a while and I'm like,
for sure.
he's so fucking good.
Those like first few specials, I still love.
Yeah.
Um,
Honestly, I think it's more like his Twitter takes are what
are bad.
what are bad.
The Hitler joke. I saw once it started, saw the punchline broadcast following,
Oh,
but in like
1,000%.
a bad way. Um, my favorite moment was Nikki Glazer when she's like greeting all the comedians. Like, Bert, I'm a fan of your joke. And then she follows it with like shirts are supposed to stay on.
One of my favorite jokes from her was where she's like, "All right, just to wrap it up, I'm gonna keep this Kevin Hart."
Yeah.
And it's one of those things like we talked about. Like you will hear a lot of the same jokes. You will hear
Right.
a lot of
Kevin Hart is short.
Kevin Hart is
Nikki
short.
Glazer has an eating disorder.
Yeah,
Yeah, which I
yeah.
didn't know.
Nikki Glaser likes to
Yeah,
bang dudes,
right.
right? You will hear a lot of that, but it's all about the delivery
Yeah.
and like just how earnestly you can deliver something, either in a way that sounds malicious but you know it's not,
Hmm.
or in like an innocent maliciousness.
Yeah,
And I thought she did a really good job at that second one for her.
I agree.
I love that NFT joke where he's like, "Drunk, no money, no real."
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that that got me good. That was probably the best drunkest stupid jokes. Sam J. I had not heard of Sam J.
Neither did I.
Dude, she was so good
Yeah.
when she was talking about Bert.
Yeah.
Dude, she went so hard on him.
Hmm.
Where I was like, no, this feels earnest.
Both hers towards Bert and Nikki Glazer's felt earnest.
And that's how I feel about Bert, dude.
Yeah.
I don't like his shtick.
I even don't care for Andrew Schultz's shtick, but that night he seemed more talented than
So I
than
don't
Bert
know a lot about Andrew Schultz. His three-fifths joke was
was.
so good.
Yeah.
It's funny. We were just talking about the three-fifths compromise with my students a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and my kids were like, "No way."
Yeah.
I go, "Yeah."
Yeah. That was
They were
his thing.
like, one of my kids goes, "Is that why black people hate white people?" And I'm like, "Oh,
That's a reason.
that's the reason." Um, like when these jokes, like you said, they are low hanging fruit.
Hmm.
But man, Cliff, which you said you didn't really like,
Mm.
his joke where he's like, think about like well, you're black and lesbian, which means when you eat out, you don't eat
Yeah.
out. You oh hell
Yeah.
no. That was good.
She got a big reaction out of it.
She got a huge
Yeah.
reaction from that. I thought his set though, his set was funny and it did not overstay its welcome, which is the problem in these things. If your set is too long,
Right.
you can absolutely overstay your welcome. I felt that way a little bit about like the earlier sections.
Mm.
I felt like Drew
But
went a little bit too long. I felt like even what's his name? The coach,
Belichick.
Belichick. I thought his went on a little bit too long.
So I'll say this is where it helps to watch this as a football fan because
You get those in
it
and
was
outs.
nice to see the gang be friends again.
Mhm.
Did you end up watching like The Last Dance?
No.
So for those who don't know,
Is that the
it's the
Michael
Michael Jordan
Jordan one?
documentary, right? Um, and then stuff came out after that, and even stuff like towards the end where like Scottie Pippen was mad about how he was like perceived, and like Jordan salty that if people didn't stay, they couldn't have won more. And I like watching, like, can't you guys just be happy that like you won six and were the biggest thing in the '90s? Like, I mean, time will tell, obviously, like how well this cast of characters is going to be able to like stay friends, or if like if they have ill will, if like time will mend those wounds. But like I watched it and I was like, by and large, like these people all seem to like respect each other, like are happy for each other. They're happy to be here.
Mhm.
And it's like you guys you won six Super Bowls like over the course of 20 years, right? Unheard of.
Yeah.
Like I left that feeling like like the Patriots like dynasty thing is over, but like everyone involved is just happy that they got to experience it, and now they're happy they get to do like a fuck you, Tom, and Tom's happy to do like a fuck you back, right? And I think that's what lets, even if like the football ones overstayed their welcome, like as a fan of the team and the sport, I was like, it's nice to see. It's nice to see the gang. It's nice to see the gang having fun.
Yeah, and I mean I can't fault for some of those jokes being, you know,
Right.
pun intended, inside football,
Yeah.
right? And I think maybe if I was more of a fan, I would
Uh-huh.
appreciate that a lot more. That goes kind of like with all the other roasts.
Yeah.
Like a big part of the roasts are you know what the person's about,
Right.
so therefore jokes land. Um, so like I can't fault it for that.
Hmm.
And I don't fault it for that at all. There were a few like you post here a few types of jokes
Yeah.
that were um
Prevalent.
prevalent,
Right.
and you can't avoid that.
I agree. I do. It makes me though honestly wonder what it's like to sit up there and like take it and have your friends make it about you. And I know I can't have like, oh, boo hoo, crying for Tom Brady. You agreed to this, boo boo. Like I know I can't have too much sympathy, but like something to me about joking about like a recently torpedoed marriage. It just feels I don't know. Like I can't feels off. Yeah, and honestly, that one, the one I feel like I have the bigger case for is even though like Aaron Hernandez was like a murderer and like
Sure,
himself like deserves like no sympathy.
sure.
I'm watching that. I'm like, that's got to be wild. Like that dude was your friend, and now you're
Yeah,
making jokes about him hating himself.
I think so. All right. So from a comedian perspective, where
Yeah,
you don't have skin in the game,
yeah.
I think that feels like fair game.
But even the Patriots were doing
Like when the
it.
Patriots,
Yeah, right.
players were making those jokes, when he made a joke, and I
Yeah,
was like, all right, this feels different.
and I'm not even like mad at them. I'm like, but that's just got to feel. And on the one hand, like sometimes it's like no sense of humor is like seen as like more authentic.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, it almost kind of like feels like an act. Like, do you actually want to make the joke?
Well, and that's kind of the crux of it,
Yeah,
right? Like you kind of have to go into these knowing these people had someone write these jokes for them,
the first credit on
and
IMDb is a writer. It's
exactly,
not a director. Yeah,
and I mean that's kind of a symptom of that.
yeah.
That, like that's just what's going to happen. I think as bad as it is for like Giselle,
Hmm.
like that is such a public thing. It is almost unavoidable.
Yeah,
Where if he had said that's off limits,
he looked uncomfortable though.
1,000%,
Yeah.
but it's unavoidable. And if it had not been brought up, that would have been like that's his thing that he said was off limits.
Well, that's the thing too. There's well documented now reports of things that were edited or things that were like or takes that certain people said were too far.
Here's the thing. I think if you're gonna have a roast and you are choosing to be roasted, because I
Hmm.
mean these people are getting paid big money to get roasted.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Netflix shelled out a good chunk of cash for this.
Yeah.
Um, you gotta be ready.
You got to be
You
ready.
gotta be ready for things to slip through the cracks,
Yeah.
for people to make references, even if it's not a full on joke
Yeah.
about someone or something that you say is off limits. And it was kind of funny to me that set one, they broke him.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he got up and went to Jeff Ross and said, "Don't you ever fucking say that shit again."
Right.
Loud enough that the microphone
Microphone
picked
picked
it
it up.
up.
Yeah.
I was like, "You showed your hand."
Yeah.
And from then on, like anytime they made a joke that I was like, I would look at Tom and man,
Right.
you could see that face. And people commented on it. People were like, He looks like he's gonna cry."
He does look like he's gonna cry. I mean, it looked awkward. It looked like painfully
And
painful.
to a degree, I'm like, is there a catharsis to this?
Well, so here's the thing. I used to love Tom Brady. The divorce made me actually lose a lot of respect for him. So I was like, you have everything in football. Like
What is the point?
go like spend time with your children and supermodel life. right? Um, it does kind of show like a fragility of him that is very Homelander,
Yeah.
right? So I guess it's on character in that way. I guess I think the thing I find most interesting about this is you I brought it up at the beginning, I'll bring it up again. You've got the like you can't say anything anymore crowd. And I think this particular roast proves like you most certainly can say quite a bit.
Oh,
It just
yeah.
always depends on the context.
What's the context?
And even in the context of the roast, the golden boy Tom Brady says, "You better shut the fuck up." Like people will people will shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only joke that really like slipped through the crack.
Yep.
I think. I don't know if there were any others.
No, there was those Netflix censoring the booze for Kim Kardashian.
Yeah,
Right. Which I mean, I'm not like necessarily.
that happened because I remember watching. So
You can hear
I'm
a few of them when she's announced.
yes,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
And when she was talking,
Right.
but they were like, yeah, they censored the booze, and I'm like, did they? Because there were a lot of fucking booze.
I guess it was louder in the live performance.
Interesting.
So I didn't hear the live performance, so I don't have a frame of reference to compare. But it is, I don't know how would I feel. Where like you can be Tom Brady, you can be Kim Kardashian. You're like, hey, Netflix, like, don't put me. I mean, I guess it's Tom Brady's roast, so maybe he should have more say. But like, why you got to censor kids' booze? Like, I don't. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I had a lovely time watching this overall.
I'm excited to see another one.
So
Yeah.
that leads to a question that I have for you.
Mm,
One that I didn't see here, so I please would assume you're okay with me
yeah.
interjecting in here.
Yep.
I already have my person. Who would you like to see roasted?
Ooh, that's hard. Realistically, or
Hmm.
like, or
So like,
pie in the sky.
mm, not pie in the sky. Realistic enough that like, even if it feels a little outlandish, you're like, with enough money and maybe with enough time, this person would maybe say yes. Maybe they might have some off limits things. Who do you have?
So initially, I was thinking like, okay, who is Tom Brady tier of like person? And all I could think of at first was Taylor Swift. I don't think that would happen anytime soon.
I
Obviously,
I think
yeah.
it would take a while.
I think that's my pie in the sky.
So I would say that's one that I don't even want to say it's pie in the sky because I feel like she also has a lot that she would like to say,
Yeah, oh yeah.
and
She
I
says it.
feel like she kind of does,
Yeah,
but I feel like if they give her podium at the end of the night,
yeah,
she could do a lot of damage to a lot of people,
yeah.
and I feel like that's something that she's just like, ooh,
I don't know if I'm ready for that power.
I want that.
Yeah,
Maybe not right now, but I think later in the future that's something that she could be like, this is my chance to say everything that I wanted to these fucking
yeah,
people.
yeah. That's a fair point. I
Yeah.
think this also definitely probably wouldn't happen. I want to see Kanye get roasted, and not for him to have the podium. I just kind of want to see him cry. I mean, because there's so much available there. I would love a stadium full of people just shitting on Kanye to his face.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think a realistic one that I was thinking is Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner,
I'm almost surprised that that one didn't happen yet.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think Caitlyn Jenner, Kardashian
yeah,
could probably put up with it.
yeah.
There's plenty of there's plenty of content there to mine.
Mhm.
You could even make some off limits
Right.
and not like undermine the spirit of the roast. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Those are the three big ones that I thought of.
So Caitlyn Jenner, Kim Kardashian, and then
Taylor Swift is
Taylor
like
Swift.
Taylor Swift. If it happens, it would definitely be like 10 years from now.
Yeah.
It's not something that's going to happen when she's at the height
No.
of this. He could ask for the fucking world, and
Yeah.
they would probably do it, and they would make so much money. But
Absolutely.
could you imagine what her fans would say?
Oh, they would be.
Holy
Yeah.
shit!
Yeah. There would be eruptions.
There would be riots. There would be insurrections. It it could be that when you said this is like the pivotal moment of 2024.
Right.
If the roast of Taylor Swift ever happens, that I think is absolutely going to be one of the cultural moments of the decade whenever it
Absolutely.
happens.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah. I also had a lot of
I
fun.
had fun. Like I said, it's out of our wheelhouse. We usually do more like a narrative or
Something with a story.
something with a story, but this is a big enough thing where I think it's worth talking about
Yeah.
because I don't want to say it's a dying art form
Yeah, but it's a taste of nostalgia for me.
for sure.
Yeah. Even though I didn't watch too many of these, to me, the roast still seems like 20, 2009.
There is definitely something when you're watching these, you go,
Yeah.
this is what it used to be.
I was thinking about Crazy Nights. How you were like, how you meant it in a bad way. You're
Yes.
like, this is peak 2002. I know it's funny. I had forgotten. So when you said Comedy Central, I'd forgotten they were on Comedy Central. I thought these were on like Spike TV.
No.
Which they would have fit
It fits
perfectly on Spike TV.
1000%.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm excited. Like Kevin said
We're gonna
early
get
in the
more.
night,
Yeah.
he was like, we want to do more of these. Chris Rock probably take a roasting.
He could take a good roasting.
He could take a roast, and then at the end, oh boy,
Bring
would
out Will.
he?
Bring out Will.
Oh yes. Oh man, the
Yeah.
roast Will Smith hosted by Chris Rock would be great too.
That would be something special. I
Ooh,
mean, you would get that joke
oh,
all
all
night.
night
Um, get it? Are they always in a stadium? No way.
in a stadium?
Yeah.
No, they're always in like a theater.
That was amazing to see.
It's in the forum, right?
Kia Forum.
Damn,
Yeah.
that
No
is.
longer really used for basketball games, but like, used to be. Like to see a
And
stadium full of people.
also though, I think I remember hearing like or reading on Twitter that like people were able to buy tickets to go to this.
Yeah.
So like it's not just like the past roast where like it's just
It's just the high and
people on the
mighty.
insides.
Right.
These are like you had fans,
Yeah.
people who were like, I fucking love Tom Brady. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And
They
then you
had fun.
just got to sit there watch this man almost cry.
They had fun.
But no, I could not take a roasting. I know myself too much
No, I couldn't either.
to know that I'm like the first second someone goes, look at this fat fuck. I'm like
Maybe I could take one in the moment. That would be very
self conscious throughout the whole
yes.
time.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, buddy. I had oodles of fun. Thank you for bringing this up.
Of course.
It's I like how you changed the director.
What I said on IMDb.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this change of
Pace.
programming.
If we haven't been around for a while, we can't just like shovel stale content in your face. You gotta keep it.
Yeah, for
Gotta keep it
sure,
fresh and scooty.
sure.
Yeah.
Both of these will come out probably this week, just to keep it simple. Probably
Right.
tomorrow will be movie, Friday will be roast. Um, but we will be back very soon
Yeah.
with your normal
With your normal program.
scheduled
With your
slot.
normal programming.
Hell yeah. All right, everybody. Have a good day. Thank you so much for sharing with your friends.
He has been Javier.
He has been Thano, and this has been the Cine-Scoots movie show.
Bye.